It's all about numbers. Damages to underground facilities are often discussed in the context of numbers. Number of damages, percentage of damages resulting from no locate request, costs for repairs and restoration of service, number of deaths and injuries. When it comes to your safety on the job, numbers can play an important part. What are the odds that you'll complete your next job without an incident if you call Texas 811 before you begin? What are the odds if you don't? These are numbers that will have a huge impact on you, your crew, and your company. You already know calling before you dig will dramatically increase the likelihood that you will go home safely at the end of the day. But you may not know that there are other steps you can take to increase the odds of a safe and profitable day. The Common Ground Alliance has developed a series of best practices for excavators, utility owners, and other stakeholders in the damage prevention industry. You will find some of these practices both in Texas Utilities Code Chapter 251 and Texas Administrative Code Title 16, Part 1, Chapter 18, while other rules in Texas law are just plain common sense. To help us remember the importance of digging safely, follow these 4 simple guidelines. Call before you dig, wait the required time, respect the marks, and dig with care. Everyone who routinely digs in Texas knows to call 811. However, not everyone fully understands why they should call or that they should call every time they dig. Both statewide and national studies funded by Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration shows that most damages occur because people who excavate try to shortcut the system by starting to work before the required time, by not properly exposing facilities, or not providing adequate location and contact information. Planning your work and providing useful information is the beginning of safe excavation. The whole point of calling before you dig is to allow utility owners who may have lines in conflict with your work to protect those lines and help you have a safe excavation. If the information you provide is ambiguous or incomplete, the utility owner will have a difficult, if not impossible, task of protecting you and your business from a costly damage. When you call 811, an agent will ask you a series of questions, all designed for your safety, and the more accurate the information, the safer your digging environment will be. Again, our research and experience shows that safety is adversely affected when the dig site is not properly identified and the excavator cannot be reached to verify locate request information. The CGA best practices conclude that marking the area to be excavated in white prior to the arrival of the locator reduces the possibility of damages. Providing a good contact number for all stakeholders involved cannot be overemphasized. But some excavators argue they don't get paid to use white paint, and pre-marking the dig site adds an extra trip, making the job too costly. However, many times, excavators who don't routinely white line are delayed because the wrong area was marked, and in some cases they changed the location of the work because they had not seen the area before arriving with their equipment. Having to make a second locate request and prolonging the job then becomes even more costly than pre-marking in white. Another advantage of marking in white is the amount of time it saves a utility locator. White paint communicates to the locator exactly where you will be digging. Now just imagine how much faster your next work area could be located if every excavator used white paint. Texas research also revealed that some utility damages were the direct result of excavators digging on someone else's ticket. When more than one contractor is working on a project, confusion and damages will happen when excavators see paint and assume that all utilities have been located. Digging using another's locate request can make you liable for damages. Everyone must have their own locate request before work begins. So always call before you dig every time. Mark your work area with white paint or flags and give Texas 811 accurate information and a phone number where you can easily be reached should a locator have a question. In Texas, you must wait 48 hours from the time you call in a locate request. This time excludes Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. This gives adequate time for utility owners to locate their facilities. If you begin excavating before the required waiting time, you violate Texas law and you will be responsible for damages, subject to civil penalties, and even more importantly, you jeopardize your own safety. An exception to this part of the law is for an emergency locate request which allows the excavator to begin excavation immediately. However, the law states that the excavator must take reasonable care to protect the underground utilities and must notify a notification center as promptly as practicably possible. Remember, an emergency excavation is defined by law as an excavation at times of emergency involving danger to life, health, or property, or a situation in which the public need for uninterrupted service and immediate reestablishment of service if that interrupted service compels immediate action. Don't attempt to shortcut the system by twisting the definition of an emergency to cover a typical or routine excavation. If you do, you'll be creating a scenario for disaster and will be in violation of Texas law. You must call 811 before you dig and wait the appropriate time. It's pretty remarkable that it's not longer considering all that has to take place in those 48 hours. Plan your work. Call at least 48 hours before you need to do the work and give facility owners time to protect you and their lines. Damages are very likely to occur if you begin digging before all utilities have been located. The next step in Dig Safely is important throughout the duration of your project. This key step is respect the marks. How accurate are the locator's marks? The answer to this question is that it varies, and for a lot of reasons. Soil conditions, how crowded the underground utilities are, frequency and power settings of the locating device, and condition of the facility being located all impact the accuracy of the marks on the ground. This is part of the reason that Texas law defines a locate as an approximate location. While there is no specific guideline for all utilities in Texas, there is an enforceable tolerance zone when digging around gas or pipelines as defined in Chapter 18. And the CGA best practices state in order to dig safely around any utility, the excavator observes a tolerance zone that is comprised of the width of the facility plus 18 inches on either side of the outside edge of the underground facility on a horizontal plane. What are your responsibilities in respecting the marks? According to best practices, the excavator should protect and preserve the staking, marking, or other designation of underground facilities until no longer required for proper and safe excavation. By respecting and protecting the marks throughout the duration of your project, you are helping to ensure your safety as well as that of your crews and the environment. Because marks can be easily destroyed, which will make it impossible for you to determine the location of underground facilities, you should maintain the integrity of the locate marks for all excavations. Best practices also teach us that if the marks are gone, the excavator stops excavating and notifies the one-call center for remarks. Also, if construction activities or weather destroys the marks, you must call 811 and renew the request. Damage prevention is a shared responsibility. These simple paint marks are important safety communications from the owner of the facility to you. Utility owners also have a shared responsibility to protect you and prevent damages. Respect the marks, protect the marks. After all facilities in conflict with the dig site have been identified, the next step in the Dig Safely best practices is to dig with care. When it comes to hydraulics, backhoe buckets, and congested right-of-ways, digging with care seems too obvious to mention. But once again, research shows that many damages occur not from mismarked lines, but from digging on top of accurately marked facilities. The practice of taking a little off the top is not a part of properly exposing a marked facility. Always expose a marked facility by hand digging or vacuum excavation or other methods approved by the facility owner. Trenchless technology has given excavators the ability to work with minimal surface disruption, a real plus for contractors working in high-traffic urban areas. But horizontal drilling also presents some challenges to the excavator. Crossing an existing utility line requires knowing not only its route, but also its depth. The only conclusive way to determine the depth is by exposing the line. Hand digging in congested work areas can be time-consuming and expensive, but technology has provided a safe, valuable, and approved method for exposing existing facilities. Vacuum excavation or potholing has become a damage prevention partner with horizontal drilling. By far its greatest benefit is safety and infrastructure damage prevention. Every day there's another horror story about a backhoe hitting a pipeline, regardless of the fact that best practices in most states' dig laws require either hand digging or vacuum excavation when digging within the tolerance zone. Another consideration for digging with care is working near overhead lines. While they are not underground, they are dangerous and sometimes are overlooked because of the attention directed to the work below. Be aware of all utility lines, those in the ground and those in the air. Call before you dig. Wait the required time. Respect the marks and dig with care. Your role as an excavator is no longer just about getting the work done on time. It's about effectively communicating to utility owners and locators the scope of the intended work, understanding possible conflicts with existing facilities, and having a greater respect for those who may be affected by your work, including the general public. Damage prevention is a shared responsibility, and no single stakeholder can accomplish the goal of keeping Texas a safer place to live and work by itself. It takes a partnership built on trust and respect and careful consideration of the role each of us has in preventing damages. Think safely, plan your work, dig safely. You're more than just a number in Texas 811's Damage Prevention Program.